The extinguisher is out. I think they're...
The van's owner had stopped at a golf shop when a major hazard suddenly appeared.
That's wild, eh?
The owner used 3 extinguishers, but the fire was too fast, racing through the Mercedes Sprinter.
I want to start this video by answering a couple questions. The first question that many people asked is, after everything that has happened, you are back in a Sprinter. And the answer is right here where I'm at right now. I am in the middle of nowhere, eastern Montana. I drove on a track that is mostly driven by UTVs and ATVs, and I did it with my camper. Last night, a major storm came through and a good part of the road has been snowed in. So how I get out of here will be a future adventure, and there will actually be a video on it. This is what I do. It's my lifestyle. I tend to push my rigs. I tend to go to places that are off the beaten path, and there are definitely no other campers here where I'm at. And next month I'll be going down to Baja, where I've been spending my winters and a good part of the year with my girlfriend and our dogs. We love the comfort of this rig. It's very spacious. It's just, has the Sprinter chassis, has the clearance and the off-road capabilities that I need for what I do. And so that's why I'm back into a Sprinter, unfortunately. So the day of the fire, I was driving through Seattle on a trip to the Pacific Northwest. Everything was normal, just driving down the highway during rush hour. And then all of a sudden, I've noticed that as I'm driving, I'm kind of like feeling like maybe there's a loss of power. So just to check if there was indeed a loss of power, I pressed on the gas. And when I pressed on the gas, the whole motor ignited. And so I've noticed smoke and then flames, and then I just ran to the side of the road, stopped my van and went to grab the fire extinguisher. So I grabbed the fire extinguisher, ran outside, opened the hood, and just these flames came out. It was like 10-foot flames, and it was absolutely terrifying. I had my dogs inside, no leash, no collars, and I was determined to save my dogs. And I always wondered if I would risk my life for my dogs, and in this incident, I've learned that I would risk my life for my dogs. At the time, I didn't know that diesel does not explode, so it was absolutely terrifying. Grab this fire extinguisher, and right here, it says 10 seconds. That's how long this thing lasts. Emptied it out in the motor, it did almost nothing. I ran inside, and I started feeling this ball of water. Very important detail, it took 25 seconds. I timed it later. 25 seconds to fill this. Ran outside, dumped it, ran inside, filled it, dumped it 3 times. And I was able to kill the fire with 1 fire extinguisher and 3 of these. When the fire department came, they were amazed that I actually managed to do that when they saw the motor. So it was very violent, very fast, and very unexpected. I've learned later, after talking to other people and doing research, is that it's the same thing that everybody has experienced. This like very quick ignition of the motor. I think This video of Steve and his leisure van will give you an idea of how violent these fires are. Let's go check it out.
The extinguisher is out. Start emptying. What? They're emptying the The more I talk to people, the more I realize that I was the only one who saved the rig. All the other ones burned down, and that was actually very unfortunate. My adjuster even said it. He's like, Paolo, next time just let it burn. And the reason is because insurance can't pay you until they know if it's a total loss or not. So I was stuck in the middle, and there was nothing that I could do. And I was just basically in the hands of Mercedes, just waiting, who knows for how long. That was, without a doubt, the most difficult part of this whole thing. I am in southwest Montana. We've had just terrible weather, winds for like weeks now. So I decided to do this interview anyways, given this windy condition. So hopefully this microphone works. Right after the fire, I decided to stick around Seattle to try to figure out when this investigation was gonna happen. Mercedes started ghosting me pretty much immediately. Winnebago sent an inspector the day after the fire. He told me straight up that without Mercedes doing this investigation, there was not really much that he could tell without taking the motor apart. So I ended up getting a courtesy van from Mercedes of Seattle, which I've learned all these dealers are very separate businesses from Mercedes USA, and those guys were awesome. Keith, the service manager, was very empathetic. He was really helpful and gave me a van where I could actually stay in. And from the van, I started emailing Mercedes without much luck. I stuck around another week, stayed at friends' houses and friends' RVs, and it became pretty clear that Mercedes was not in a hurry to do this investigation. So I loaded up a U-Haul and drove back to Montana. We were pretty stuck. Our home was kept hostage by Mercedes USA. There was really nobody that could do anything about it. We all were just kind of waiting. And I was making payments on my rig. I was paying for insurance. The rig was just parked in the facility for an undetermined time. Oh, gotta take these off.
I love those.
1, 2, 3. Welcome to our new home. From Montana, I started doing research. It became clear that my incident was not an isolated case. There was in 2023, there was a recall for 53,000 sprinters due to fire danger. However, even 24 and 25 sprinters are still burning. They're saying that Mercedes figured out the problem, but apparently they haven't. My dogs are on point. I'll be back. Let's go and check out some of these fires. When I spoke with Lori, it had been 1 year since the fire. They experienced the same violent, unexpected ignition, and the fire extinguisher was not enough to put it out. It was a clear total loss, so the insurance paid and they were able to walk away without waiting for a prolonged investigation. They were told that the fire was caused by a short. Dale's story is even more dramatic. He was alerted by a driver that his van was on fire. By the time he pulled over, got his 2 girls out that were in child seat, the whole thing had burned to the ground. There was nothing left to even find out the cause.
An LPG tank in one of the vans that went off.
Then the flames leapt to a ute parked close by.
2 cars on fire now.
The ute owner had been at the dentist with his son. The real pain came when they walked outside.
I feel like smoke everywhere, and then I'm like, and then someone showed us a photo. I'm like, yes, Dad, we needed a new car.
Firefighters had to battle Nicklin Way traffic just to get to the scene.
I made a report with the NHTSA. Even though the internet is littered with images and videos and news reports of sprinters on fire, they only had 2 on file and they didn't know about any other ones. So guys, if your sprinter catches on fire, make sure that you report it. The investigation is still open right now. Things are moving government pace. I am hoping that they will continue. I will give an update in my next video.
I was finally told that the investigation was going to happen the week of September 29th. I contacted Mercedes to find out the exact date so I could get a third-party investigator there so that I could let the NHTSA know, I could let Winnebago know. I received no reply. Kept asking, kept emailing, nothing. I finally contacted Mercedes of Seattle, and Mercedes of Seattle were instructed by Mercedes USA not to talk to me. That's right. I was told to contact Progressive to find out. Apparently, Mercedes just went ahead and did the investigation without letting anybody know. I later received an email from the NHTSA asking me if I knew the date of the investigation. But at that point, the investigation was already done. Mercedes only let one person there, an adjuster from Progressive that has a long working relationship with them. And that was it. Nobody knew when that investigation happened. When Progressive told me what the cause of the fire was according to Mercedes, I was shocked. Rodents. These are traps that I have that I carry with me at all times. And anytime my rig is parked for more than a week, I set at least 10 traps, and I have traps of all types. The reason is simple. Being off the beaten path in Baja, mice can be a serious problem. I just couldn't believe that that could have happened because I am very careful about mice. So I contacted Mercedes and I asked for video, I've asked for photographs, I've asked for a full report, I've asked for qualifications of the people that did the investigation. For what I knew, the rodent contamination could have happened while the rig was sitting there for 2 months. So I wanted proof and kept emailing Mercedes, and once again, I was ghosted. I was told to contact Progressive. So I contacted Progressive and to see if they could give me, videos and photographs, and Progressive told me that they couldn't give me photographs and video, that I had to contact Mercedes. So I was at a dead end at that point. This is the only explanation that I received from Mercedes. It's a letter that states that rodents had chewed through the oil filler neck, causing oil and vapors to be exposed to high underhood temperature. The combination of oil vapor and heat created the condition necessary for ignition, resulting in the fire. It also states that it was not a defect or malfunction, which basically means that the damage is not covered under warranty.
I worked at Tesla for years as a service advisor, and when a vehicle had rodent damage, we took a bunch of photos and then we uploaded those photos to the service visit. So the customer actually had access to those photos at any time. And if someone really wanted to see the damage, we would take them around back and show them the physical damage. So when Paolo mentioned that Mercedes would not let him see the photos, for me, that was quite surprising.
When I made it to Seattle, I was surprised to find a rodent nest underneath the air filter, like Mercedes had said. When the incident happened, I was traveling through the Pacific Northwest doing some whitewater with some friends, and we stayed at one of our friends' property and camped there for 2 nights. And that's when the mice built a nest. And that was very, very shocking because I didn't know that mice could build nests that quickly. However, when I looked at the motor, the theory of oil vapors didn't really align with what I saw. And what appeared to be the start of the fire didn't really make any sense. So let's go and check out this unburnt engine so we can see where everything is and why things didn't make sense. So here is a view of the unburnt motor, and according to Mercedes, the fire started right underneath this air filter, and I'll show from the side exactly where. This is the filler neck, and it's basically where you add oil to the motor so that you don't have to remove the air filter. And the tube is extremely flimsy and thin, and if I push really hard here and squeeze my hand underneath the air filter, I can reach the connection that apparently was chewed by rodents, and the oil vapors that came out of here ignited and burned my whole motor in 3 minutes. However, left this large plastic filter untouched. I believe that the fire was ignited by diesel fuel, not oil vapors, and it started on the back of the engine, maybe the middle of the engine, and then it worked its way forward to the filler neck area. And I will show you guys why. And I'm sure that there'll be some very smart people, way smarter than me, that will be watching this video. So I would love for you guys to comment down below and see what you think. One of the first clues pointing to diesel fuel was this. When the van was loaded onto the tow truck, diesel poured out from underneath, enough that the first driver refused to tow it. It took 3 tow trucks and 22 hours after the fire to get the van to the Mercedes dealer, arriving at 2 in the morning. I will talk more about this on Sprinters on Fire Part 3, the things I learned. Here is that motor after the fire. Let's stop it right here and look at that filter completely intact. As we go deeper into the motor, this is what it should look like. Let's do a side-by-side comparison. Everything in the back of the engine burned to a crisp, including the firewall that is highly fireproof. According to Mercedes' theory, the fire, instead of burning up into the filter, it burned down into the back of the motor. Here is a closer look and the extent of the damage in a side-by-side comparison. This is the lower section and back section of the motor, well below the presumed starting point, and as you can see, I sprayed a whole fire extinguisher right here, indicating that that's where the bulk of the fire was. It is very questionable how everything below the starting point was charred to this extent and the air filter was left intact. Another indication that the fire started at the back of the motor is the burn pattern on the hood. It shows where the heat was. Anyone who has built a campfire knows that fire follows predictable patterns. It naturally rises, unless strong wind pushes it otherwise. I considered whether airflow could explain the fire's path in the engine bay, but modern engine bays are designed to control airflow, and the area where these fires reported to have started and the firewall are largely shielded from that airflow. That burn pattern raised questions I was hoping Mercedes would address. Here's the intact air filter that Mercedes disconnected. Let's go to the other side and see what's underneath it. The filler neck directly below the filter. If you remember, I needed to squeeze my hand underneath the filter to touch it. That's how close it sits underneath that filter. The main reason why I don't believe this was the starting point is that if it was the starting point, there would be nothing left here. You can see unburnt nesting material. The whole filler tube, which is super thin, is still intact. And most importantly, that filter sitting right above it is unburned. And here's that highly flammable nesting material right next to the starting point. If this fire was caused by oil vapor, this nesting material would be caked in oil, and it's perfectly dry. As far as the rodent chew marks on the filler neck, it's very hard to say. It appears burned to me. What do you guys think? I believe that the fire was started by diesel fuel in the middle back of the engine, and only at the end did it reach the filler neck area. Had the fire started from the filler neck area, all this highly flammable material would have been gone, just like the rest of the motor. It's also important to note that motor oil burns relatively slow compared to diesel fuel. Diesel is far more capable of producing the kind of rapid, intense fire that can consume an engine in under 3 minutes. It is finally snowing in Montana. We had everything. We had winds, we had rain, you name it, and it's almost Christmas time and it's finally snowing. So anyways, we take it all. But anyways, I tried to ignite that oil even with a torch, and even with a torch I couldn't get that oil to catch on fire. And the reason is because oil is designed to withstand really high temperature. The flash point is extremely high on oil. So those vapor fumes, it's extremely hard to explain, and it would require some extraordinary circumstances. And I needed answers from Mercedes on how that happened without giving me any warnings. I would imagine that for the oil to reach that temperature, I would get some warnings. And then also, what was very particular about everything is my loss of power. You don't lose power because you have oil fumes that ignite, but you do have them if you have diesel fuel igniting. So there were a lot of questions that I had to ask Mercedes. I wrote Mercedes my first email of many messages that I've sent them asking for explanation. So it took Mercedes close to a month to reply to my email from the day of the investigation. And in the email, I was told that because of safety protocols, I couldn't be present on the investigation, and that a certified engineer came to the conclusion that there was nothing wrong with the van, and that I had to contact my insurance if I had any further questions. After writing more emails, I received one last email from Mercedes 2 weeks later telling me that the case was closed, and that was it. So I decided to write my last email and see if I could get my answers. And that's it, you guys. This is the end of the video. Mercedes never got back to me. I lost about $16,000 in mods and additions, and Progressive ended up covering the cost of the loss. And when I asked them why they did not question the investigation, I was told that it was not their place. They decided that just the fact that there was rodent nesting in the motor was enough for them to sign off the claim as rodent damage. Some of you may ask why I've gone through this extent with this video, and the reason is because I started this YouTube channel a few months ago with the idea of making a change. I've been overlanding for 33 years and I have a lot to share, and this video is kind of part of it. I am hoping that with this video, Mercedes might handle an incident like this differently in the future. They might communicate with their customers better and give them answers. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I would love to hear your comments and see what you guys think. And make sure to subscribe for my next video, Sprinters on Fire 3. And if you own a Sprinter, this is a very important video to watch because I will be talking about all the mistakes that I made. There are many of them, and the first one is I will talk about insurance coverage. I wasn't properly insured. And then I will also talk about details of the fire and what to do in case of a fire. And the first thing that you want to do is turn off the ignition. I did not press that button because my motor died on me, and I believe that the fuel pump stayed engaged throughout the whole thing, and that is why there was so much damage. Same thing, if you look at Steve's video, you can tell that his lights are still on. So he probably did the same exact thing. So in my future video, I'll be talking about all the things that I've learned, and hopefully people can benefit from it. See you next.